The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Part 1. The Man Who Had Everything, but Lost It All. Imagine two men. The first was born into poverty. Every meal was uncertain. Every peso had to be earned. Every small purchase required careful thought. The second was born into wealth. Luxury cars, expensive vacations, designer clothes, money had always been there, so he never questioned it. Years later, the poor boy becomes a millionaire. The rich boy goes bankrupt. How is that possible? Most people believe that making money is about intelligence. They think the smartest investors always win. They think the highest paid employees automatically become wealthy. But history tells a different story. Some of the smartest people in the world have lost everything. At the same time, ordinary people with average jobs quietly become millionaires. Why? Because money isn't just about math. It's about behavior. And behavior is something that no school can fully teach. That's the lesson Morgan Housel explores in The Psychology of Money. This isn't a book about picking stocks. It's not about becoming rich overnight. It's about understanding the invisible habits that determine whether money becomes your greatest servant or your worst enemy. If you can master your emotions around money, you can often outperform people who know far more than you ever will. Because in finance, knowledge matters, but behavior matters even more. Today, we'll explore timeless stories about greed, fear, luck, patience, and the quiet decisions that separate lasting wealth from temporary riches. Some of these stories might completely change the way you think about success. And by the end of this journey, you may never look at money the same way again. Let's begin with one of the greatest paradoxes in history. In the early 1900s, there lived a man named Ronald Read. He wasn't famous. He wasn't a CEO. He wasn't a Wall Street investor. He repaired cars for a living. Later, he worked as a janitor. His clothes were simple. His pickup truck was old. Most people assumed he was poor. Nobody noticed anything extraordinary about him. Every morning, he went to work. Every payday, he saved a little. Every year, he invested patiently. He didn't chase trends. He didn't brag. He simply repeated the same boring habit for decades. When Ronald Read passed away at the age of 92, the people in his small town were stunned. He had quietly accumulated an investment portfolio worth more than $8 million. Not through luck, not through inheritance, not through genius, but through patience. Now compare that story with another man, Richard Fuscone. He graduated from Harvard. He worked as a top executive. He earned millions. He lived in a mansion. Luxury surrounded him. Everyone believed he had mastered money. Yet after the financial crisis, everything collapsed. He declared bankruptcy. The janitor died a millionaire. The millionaire died bankrupt. Why? Because earning money and keeping money are two completely different skills. Many people know how to make money. Very few know how to keep it. That single idea may be the most important lesson in this entire book. The next chapter reveals why luck and risk play a much bigger role in success than most people realize. Part 2. Nobody is crazy. The story of Ronald Read and Richard Fuscone teaches us one important lesson. Making money and keeping money are two very different skills. But before we go any further, we need to answer a question that has puzzled economists, investors, and ordinary people for generations. Why do smart people make terrible financial decisions? The answer is surprisingly simple. Because money is never just about numbers. It's about experiences. Imagine two children growing up in different worlds. The first child is born into a family that struggles to pay rent every month. They watch their parents worry about bills, skip vacations, and stretch every grocery budget. For them, money means security. Saving every extra peso feels natural because they've seen what happens when there's nothing left. Now imagine another child raised in a home where money always seemed abundant. Vacations happened every year. New gadgets appeared without much discussion. Bills were paid quietly, without stress. To them, spending doesn't feel dangerous, it feels normal. Years later, these two children become adults. One saves obsessively. The other spends freely. Who's right? Neither. And both. Because every financial decision they make is shaped by a lifetime of experiences. This is what Morgan Housel means when he says, nobody is crazy. People don't make financial decisions based only on facts. They make decisions based on the stories they've lived. Think about the last time you heard someone say, I would never buy that expensive car. Or, why would anyone invest in something so risky? It's easy to judge, but what we don't see is the invisible history behind every decision. Perhaps that expensive car represents success after years of poverty. Perhaps that risky investment comes from someone who watched their parents lose everything by playing it safe. Different experiences create different beliefs. And different beliefs create different behaviors. History gives us countless examples. Someone who lived through a financial crisis often becomes far more cautious than someone who has only known years of economic growth. A person who experienced inflation may distrust keeping cash. Someone who witnessed a booming stock market in their early adulthood might believe investing is easy. They're all reacting to the world they know, not necessarily the world that exists today. And that's the trap. We often assume our experiences represent reality. But in truth, they're only a small chapter in a much larger story. Imagine standing in front of a giant mountain. You're looking at one side. Another person stands on the opposite side. Both of you describe what you see. The trees are different. The rocks are different. The sunlight hits the mountain differently. Neither of you is lying. You're simply seeing different sides of the same mountain. Money works the same way. Everyone believes they're seeing the full picture. But everyone is only looking from their own perspective. This realization changes everything. Instead of asking, why would they do something so stupid? Try asking, what experiences led them to believe this was the right choice? That single question replaces judgment with understanding. And understanding is one of the most valuable financial skills you can develop. Because once you realize people are driven by experiences rather than spreadsheets, you stop comparing your journey to theirs. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to lose control of your finances. You scroll through social media. A friend just bought a new house. Another is driving a luxury SUV. Someone else is traveling around the world. Suddenly, your perfectly good life starts feeling incomplete. But here's what you don't see. You don't see the loans. You don't see the sleepless nights. You don't see the pressure behind the picture. You're comparing your reality to someone else's highlight reel. And that's a game you'll never win. One of the greatest financial mistakes people make isn't earning too little. It's trying to look richer than they really are. Many people spend money they haven't earned to impress people they don't even know, with things those people probably won't remember. It's a cycle that never ends. Because there will always be someone with a bigger house, a faster car, a more expensive watch. If your definition of success depends on having more than someone else, you'll spend your entire life chasing a finish line that keeps moving. Real wealth is different. Real wealth is quiet. It's the freedom to say no. It's having enough savings to sleep peacefully at night. It's choosing work you enjoy instead of work you desperately need. It's knowing that an unexpected expense won't destroy your future. Wealth doesn't always announce itself. Often, it hides behind ordinary clothes, modest homes, simple lifestyles. The richest person in the room may be the one nobody notices. So what should we learn from all of this? First, stop assuming your financial experiences apply to everyone else. Second, stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Third, remember that behavior matters more than intelligence. The best financial decision isn't always the one that looks smartest. It's the one that helps you sleep well at night. Because the best investment plan is the one you can stick with through fear, uncertainty, and temptation. As you continue your own financial journey, remember this simple truth. People aren't irrational because they're foolish. They're irrational because they're human. And once you understand that, you'll stop trying to predict every market. You'll stop chasing every trend. And you'll start building a financial life based on your own values, not someone else's expectations. But if experiences shape our decisions, then what explains the incredible success of some people and the heartbreaking failures of others? Is success always earned? Is failure always deserved? Or is there another force quietly influencing every outcome? A force we rarely acknowledge. In the next chapter, we'll explore two invisible companions that walk beside every successful person and every failure. Luck and risk. And once you understand them, you'll never look at success or failure the same way again. Part 3. Luck and risk. Imagine two people starting the exact same journey. They have similar intelligence, similar education, similar ambition. Both work hard. Both dream big. Both are willing to sacrifice comfort today for a better future tomorrow. Yet 20 years later, one becomes wildly successful. The other struggles to stay afloat. Why? Most people immediately search for an explanation. Maybe one was smarter. Maybe one worked harder. Maybe one made better decisions. And sometimes that's true, but not always. Because there are two powerful forces that shape every life. Two forces we often ignore because they make us uncomfortable. Those forces are luck and risk. We love stories about success. We admire entrepreneurs who built empires. We celebrate investors who became billionaires. We read biographies searching for the secret formula. The habits, the routines, the mindset, the strategy. And while those things matter, they are not the entire story. Success is never the result of effort alone. Luck always plays a role. The problem is, luck is invisible. Imagine a talented athlete born in a small village with no coaches, no equipment, and no opportunities. Now imagine another athlete with the same talent born near world-class training facilities. Who has the better chance of becoming a champion? The second athlete. Not because they deserve it more. Not because they worked harder. But because circumstances gave them opportunities the first athlete never had. That's luck. And it exists everywhere. In careers. In business. In investing. In life. Think about the people born during the rise of the internet. Some happened to enter the workforce just as technology exploded. Entire fortunes were created during that period. Others entered the job market during recessions and economic crises. Their careers started with layoffs, uncertainty, and shrinking opportunities. Did they choose their timing? No. Yet timing shaped their outcomes. That's the uncomfortable reality. Sometimes success is influenced by factors completely outside our control. But if luck exists, then so does its opposite. Risk. Risk is the silent force that can destroy even the most carefully planned future. It's the unexpected illness, the economic crash, the failed investment, the business that seemed perfect until the market changed overnight. No one plans for disaster. Yet disaster happens every day. This is why judging people solely by their results can be dangerous. We see a successful investor and assume every decision they made was brilliant. We see someone who failed and assume every choice they made was foolish. But reality is rarely that simple. A good decision can produce a bad outcome. And a bad decision can sometimes produce a good outcome. Imagine two drivers. One drives recklessly, speeding through traffic every day. The other follows every safety rule. On a particular day, the reckless driver arrives safely. The careful driver gets hit by someone else. Does that mean reckless driving is smart? Of course not. It simply means outcomes don't always reveal the quality of decisions. Sometimes luck temporarily rewards bad behavior. Sometimes risk punishes good behavior. And that's why focusing only on results can mislead us. The world often celebrates winners without recognizing the role of luck. At the same time, it sometimes blames failures without recognizing the role of risk. This creates a dangerous illusion. We start believing that success is completely earned and failure is completely deserved. But life doesn't work that way. Life is more complicated, more unpredictable, more human. Consider the story of Bill Gates. Without question, Gates is brilliant. His intelligence, discipline, and vision helped create one of the most influential companies in history. But even Gates himself has acknowledged an important fact. He was lucky. He attended one of the few schools in the world that had access to a computer terminal during a time when computers were incredibly rare. That opportunity changed everything. Was his success earned? Absolutely. Was luck involved? Also yes. Both can be true at the same time. The lesson isn't to dismiss hard work. The lesson is humility. When things go well, remember that factors beyond your control may have helped you. When things go badly, remember that factors beyond your control may have hurt you. Humility keeps success from becoming arrogance. And it keeps failure from becoming despair. Many people destroy themselves financially because they assume good times will last forever. A few successful investments convince them they're geniuses. A growing business convinces them they're invincible. A booming economy convinces them risk no longer exists. Then reality arrives. Markets fall. Businesses struggle. Unexpected challenges appear. And suddenly the confidence that once seemed justified disappears. The smartest people understand something different. They know the future is uncertain. They know luck can change. They know risk never completely disappears. That's why they build margins of safety. They save money even when things are going well. They avoid taking risks that could destroy everything. They prepare for outcomes they hope never happen. Because survival is the foundation of long-term success. Imagine climbing a mountain. The goal isn't just reaching the top. The goal is making it back down safely. Many people focus entirely on getting rich. Few focus on staying rich. Yet staying rich is often the harder challenge. And the key to staying rich is respecting risk. The future will always contain surprises. Some will help you. Some will hurt you. You cannot predict them all. You cannot control them all. But you can prepare for them. You can build resilience. You can create financial habits that allow you to survive uncertainty. And survival matters more than brilliance. Because if you stay in the game long enough, luck has more opportunities to find you. This is one of the most powerful truths in the entire book. The goal isn't to be right all the time. The goal is to avoid catastrophic mistakes. You don't need perfect predictions. You don't need flawless timing. You don't need extraordinary intelligence. You simply need to remain standing while others quit. As the years pass, luck and risk will continue to shape every story around you. Some people will succeed faster than expected. Others will face challenges they never deserved. Remember this when judging others. And remember this when judging yourself. Because life is not a scoreboard that perfectly reflects effort. It's a mixture of choices, circumstances, opportunities, and randomness. And understanding that reality makes you wiser, more patient, and more compassionate. But even when people become successful, even when they achieve wealth beyond their dreams, many still lose everything, not because of bad luck, not because of risk, but because of a dangerous belief that quietly grows inside them. A belief that whispers, just a little more. And for countless people throughout history, those three words have led to disaster. Part 4. Never enough. Imagine standing at the finish line of a race. You spent years working for this moment. You sacrificed weekends. You endured stress. You stayed focused while others gave up. And finally, you made it. You achieved the goal you once thought would change everything. The promotion, the business, the investment, the dream lifestyle. For a brief moment, you feel satisfied, proud, accomplished. But then something strange happens. You look around, and you notice someone who has more. A bigger house, a larger company, a more luxurious life. And suddenly, what once felt like success starts feeling ordinary. The finish line moves. This is one of the most dangerous traps in human psychology. No matter how much we have, there is always someone who has more. And if our happiness depends on staying ahead of others, we'll never truly arrive, because comparison has no ending. Morgan Housel calls this problem never enough. It sounds simple, but it has destroyed fortunes, careers, businesses, and lives. Not because people needed more, but because they couldn't stop wanting more. Throughout history, some of the greatest financial disasters were not caused by poverty. They were caused by greed. People who already had enough risked everything for just a little more. And in the process, lost everything. Consider the story of a successful investor. After years of smart decisions, he accumulates significant wealth. He could retire comfortably. He could spend more time with family. He could enjoy the freedom he worked so hard to create. But instead, he takes bigger risks. He borrows more money. He chases higher returns. Why? Because enough no longer feels enough. The irony is heartbreaking. The very thing that made him successful, his ambition, becomes the thing that destroys him. Because ambition without limits can become greed. And greed has no finish line. One of the most famous examples in financial history involves people who already possessed more wealth than they could spend in several lifetimes. Yet they continued taking larger and larger risks. Not because they needed the money, but because someone else was earning more. Someone else was winning. Someone else was ahead, and they couldn't accept it. Imagine drinking salt water while stranded at sea. The more you drink, the thirstier you become. The thing you believe will satisfy you actually makes the problem worse. That's what comparison does. It convinces you that happiness is one purchase away, one promotion away, one investment away, one achievement away. Yet every time you reach that target, another appears, and another. And another. Social media has amplified this problem. Every day, millions of people compare themselves to lives they only partially understand. They see luxury vacations, new cars, expensive homes, designer clothes, business successes, perfect relationships. What they don't see are the sacrifices, the stress, the debt, the insecurity, the failures hidden outside the camera frame. Comparison creates a game you cannot win. Because the target constantly changes, there will always be someone richer, smarter, more successful, more famous. If your self-worth depends on outperforming everyone else, you'll spend your entire life exhausted. The happiest wealthy people often share a surprising trait. They know when to stop. Not stop growing, not stop learning, not stop improving, but stop chasing things that no longer add meaningful value to their lives. They understand the power of the word enough. Enough doesn't mean giving up. Enough means recognizing when additional wealth no longer improves your happiness. Enough means understanding that freedom matters more than status. Enough means choosing peace over endless competition. Enough means protecting what you already have instead of risking it all for unnecessary rewards. Think about this carefully. If someone offered you a chance to double your money, but there was also a chance you could lose everything you've built, would you take it? Many people would, not because they need more, but because the possibility of having more feels irresistible. And that's exactly how fortunes disappear. The world often celebrates risk-takers who win, but it rarely tells the stories of the countless people who took the same risks and lost. We hear about the entrepreneur who became a billionaire. We don't hear about the thousands who failed. We hear about the investor who made a fortune. We don't hear about the millions who lost money trying to copy them. This creates a dangerous illusion. It makes extraordinary risk look normal. But long-term success is rarely about maximizing gains. It's about minimizing regret. It's about avoiding mistakes that can permanently damage your future. It's about preserving what matters most. Imagine spending 20 years building a beautiful house. Every brick carefully placed. Every wall constructed with patience. Would you gamble the entire house on a single coin flip? Of course not. Yet financially, people do versions of this every day. They risk years of progress for rewards they don't actually need. One of the greatest financial skills is learning to define what enough means for you. Not for your neighbor, not for influencers, not for celebrities, not for society, for you. Because once you know what enough looks like, you stop running races you never wanted to join. You begin making decisions differently. You save more confidently. You spend more intentionally. You invest more patiently. And perhaps most importantly, you sleep better at night. Because your life is no longer controlled by comparison. True wealth isn't about owning the most. It's about needing the least. It's about having the freedom to make choices based on your values instead of your ego. And that freedom is far more valuable than any luxury item money can buy. The people who master money eventually realize a profound truth. The goal isn't to have more than everyone else. The goal is to have enough for the life you want. And once you understand that, you become far harder to manipulate. Far harder to impress, and far more content. But if greed can destroy wealth, what is the force that quietly creates it? What allows an ordinary person to build extraordinary results over decades? The answer isn't brilliance. It isn't luck. It isn't timing. It's something much simpler. Something so powerful that Albert Einstein reportedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. Part 5. The magic of compounding. Imagine planting a single seed. The first day, nothing happens. The first week, nothing happens. The first month, still nothing remarkable. If you were impatient, you might assume the seed is useless. Broken. A waste of time. But beneath the surface, something invisible is taking place. Roots are growing. Strength is building. A foundation is forming. And then one day, a tiny sprout appears. Years later, that tiny seed becomes a towering tree. The secret wasn't explosive growth. The secret was time. This simple idea lies at the heart of one of the most powerful forces in the world. Compounding. Compounding is what happens when small gains build upon previous gains. Again, and again, and again. At first, the results seem insignificant. Almost disappointing. But over long periods of time, the growth becomes extraordinary. Most people underestimate compounding because human beings naturally think in straight lines. We expect progress to look like a staircase. One step, then another, then another. But compounding doesn't work like that. It works more like an avalanche. Small at the beginning, massive at the end. This is why patience is so valuable. And so rare. Most people want results immediately. They want to lose weight in a week, build wealth in a month, become successful in a year. But life often rewards those willing to wait longer than everyone else. Consider one of the greatest investors in history, Warren Buffett. Today, Buffett is known for his enormous wealth. People study his investing strategies. They analyze his decisions. They admire his intelligence. But here's something many people overlook. The majority of Buffett's fortune was accumulated after the age of 50. And an astonishing portion came after age 65. Why? Because compounding had been working for decades. Imagine a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it barely grows. A little snow sticks to it. Then a little more. Then more. As it becomes larger, it gathers snow faster. Its growth accelerates. The snowball doesn't become huge because it started huge. It becomes huge because it kept rolling. The same principle applies to money. But it also applies to skills, relationships, knowledge, health, and reputation. Small actions repeated consistently often create results that seem impossible in the beginning. Think about reading 10 pages of a book each day. 10 pages doesn't sound impressive. Most people can do it in 20 minutes. But over a year, that's thousands of pages, dozens of books, a completely different level of knowledge. The daily effort remains small. The long-term result becomes enormous. This is why consistency beats intensity. Many people become excited and work extremely hard for a few days. Then they quit. Others make modest progress every day for years. Guess who usually wins? The person who stayed in the game. Compounding rewards endurance, not excitement, not perfection, endurance. The problem is that the most important period of compounding often feels boring. Nothing dramatic happens. No headlines. No applause. No overnight success. Just small improvements accumulating quietly in the background. Many people give up during this stage because they mistake slow progress for no progress. Imagine digging a tunnel through a mountain. For weeks, you're surrounded by solid rock. Swing after swing, day after day, nothing changes. Then suddenly, light appears. People looking from the outside might call it an overnight breakthrough. But you know the truth. The breakthrough was built by countless invisible efforts. Financial success often works the same way. People see someone become wealthy. They assume it happened quickly. They see the final chapter, not the decades of patience that came before it. This is one reason why chasing shortcuts is so dangerous. Shortcuts promise immediate rewards. Compounding promises delayed rewards. Most people choose the shortcut. And most people are disappointed. Because lasting success rarely comes from dramatic leaps. It usually comes from small actions repeated consistently over a very long time. The beauty of compounding is that you don't need extraordinary talent. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need genius-level intelligence. You simply need enough patience to allow time to work on your behalf. Think about two people. One starts saving and investing early. The other waits until later. The first person isn't necessarily smarter. They simply gave compounding more time to do its work. And time is often the most powerful ingredient. Morgan Housel emphasizes that wealth isn't usually built through one spectacular decision. It's built through many ordinary decisions made consistently. Saving regularly. Avoiding unnecessary debt. Investing patiently. Resisting emotional reactions. Allowing years to pass. These actions aren't exciting, but they are effective. The world celebrates dramatic success stories. The entrepreneur who became rich overnight. The investor who made millions on a single trade. The celebrity who suddenly became famous. But those stories are rare. Compounding is ordinary, quiet, unremarkable, and incredibly powerful. If you remember only one lesson from this chapter, let it be this. Small improvements may seem insignificant today, but over years and decades, they can completely transform your life. The challenge isn't finding the perfect strategy. The challenge is staying committed long enough for compounding to reveal its power. Because time changes everything, a small habit becomes a lifestyle. A small investment becomes a fortune. A small effort becomes expertise. A small advantage becomes an enormous lead. And that's why the richest rewards often go not to the smartest person, but to the most patient one. The person willing to keep going while others quit. The person willing to trust the process while others chase shortcuts. The person willing to let time do its work. But here's a fascinating twist. Many people spend their lives trying to look wealthy. They buy expensive things. They display status. They seek admiration. Yet the truly wealthy often look surprisingly ordinary. Why? Because real wealth is not what people see. In fact, the most valuable form of wealth is usually invisible. Part 6. The hidden wealth nobody sees. Imagine walking through a busy city. Luxury cars glide down the streets. Expensive watches sparkle under the sunlight. Designer clothes catch your attention. Massive houses stand behind elegant gates. And without realizing it, your mind begins making assumptions. That person must be wealthy. That person must be successful. That person has made it. But what if I told you that some of the wealthiest people in the world don't look wealthy at all? And some of the people who appear rich are struggling financially behind the scenes. Because there is a difference. A very important difference. Between being rich and being wealthy. Most people use these words interchangeably. But they are not the same thing. Being rich means you have a lot of money coming in. Being wealthy means you have assets and resources that give you freedom in the future. Rich is visible. Wealth is hidden. Imagine two people. The first earns a huge salary. Every month, money flows into their bank account. But almost all of it flows right back out. A luxury car payment, a larger mortgage, expensive vacations, designer brands, a lifestyle that requires constant income to maintain. From the outside, they appear successful. Yet if the income stops, the lifestyle disappears. Now imagine another person. They live below their means. Their house is modest. Their car is practical. Their clothes are simple. Nobody looks at them and thinks, wow, that person must be rich. But quietly, year after year, they save, they invest, they build assets, they create options, they create freedom, and one day, they realize they no longer need to work if they don't want to. That is wealth. The challenge is that wealth is invisible. You cannot easily see someone's savings account. You cannot see their investment portfolio. You cannot see the years of disciplined decisions that created financial security. You only see what people spend, not what they keep. This creates a dangerous illusion. We start believing that spending money is evidence of wealth. But spending money often reduces wealth. The luxury car proves you spent money. It does not prove you have money. The expensive watch proves a purchase was made. It does not prove financial freedom exists. Think about how often society rewards appearances. People admire visible success, the fancy office, the expensive vacation, the luxury lifestyle, but nobody applauds the person who quietly saved money for 20 years. Nobody takes pictures of a retirement account. Nobody posts screenshots of patience. Because true wealth rarely attracts attention. This is why many people fall into a trap. Instead of using money to create freedom, they use money to create appearances. And appearances are expensive, very expensive. Imagine earning an extra 50,000 pesos. You have two choices. You can spend it immediately on something impressive, or you can invest it for your future. One choice creates attention today. The other creates opportunity tomorrow. Most people notice the first choice. Very few notice the second. Yet the second choice is usually the one that builds lasting wealth. One of the greatest powers money can give you is control over your time. Think about that. Not a bigger television. Not a luxury car. Not a designer brand. Time. The freedom to wake up without panic. The freedom to leave a job you hate. The freedom to spend more time with family. The freedom to pursue meaningful work. The freedom to recover from unexpected setbacks. Time is the ultimate dividend of wealth. This is why saving money is far more powerful than many people realize. Some view saving as deprivation, as sacrifice, as missing out. But saving isn't just about accumulating money. It's about purchasing future options. Every peso saved today increases your flexibility tomorrow. Every peso saved creates a little more breathing room, a little more freedom, a little less stress. Imagine two employees. Both earn the same income. One spends everything. The other saves consistently. 5 years later, an opportunity appears. Perhaps it's a business idea, a career change, additional education, a dream project. Who has the freedom to act? The saver. Because savings create choices. And choices create freedom. This is one of the most overlooked truths about money. The value of money is not what it buys. The value of money is what it allows you to choose. When people think about wealth, they often imagine luxury. But the most valuable thing wealth can provide is peace of mind. Knowing an emergency won't destroy your future. Knowing you can handle unexpected challenges. Knowing you're not trapped. That kind of confidence is difficult to measure. But it changes everything. Morgan Housel emphasizes that the highest dividend money pays is the ability to control your own time. And once you understand that, your relationship with money begins to change. You stop trying to impress strangers. You stop chasing status symbols. You stop measuring success through appearances. Instead, you begin measuring success through freedom. Because at the end of the day, the person driving the most expensive car isn't necessarily winning. The person living in the largest house isn't necessarily winning. The person with the highest salary isn't necessarily winning. The person with the most freedom might be. And freedom comes from what you keep. Not what you spend. From what you save. Not what you display. From what remains hidden. Not what attracts attention. The greatest financial victories often happen in silence. No applause. No headlines. No viral social media posts. Just years of patience, discipline, consistency, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your future is becoming stronger. But even if you understand wealth, even if you understand saving, even if you understand freedom, there is still one challenge that remains. How do you actually build a healthy relationship with money? How do you avoid fear, avoid greed, avoid comparison, and make decisions that stand the test of time? In the next chapter, we'll bring everything together and explore the practical principles that can help anyone build a better financial life. Part 7: Building a Better Relationship with Money. Part 7: Building a Better Relationship with Money. Throughout this journey, we've uncovered a surprising truth. Money isn't just about numbers. It's not spreadsheets. It's not stock charts. It's not complex formulas. At its core, money is about behavior. And behavior is deeply human. We've seen how people make financial decisions based on experiences. We've learned that luck and risk shape every life. We've discovered how greed can destroy fortunes. We've witnessed the incredible power of compounding. And we've uncovered the hidden difference between being rich and being wealthy. But now comes the most important question of all. What should you actually do with this knowledge? How do you build a healthy relationship with money? A relationship that creates peace instead of stress, freedom instead of anxiety, confidence instead of fear. Imagine money as a tool. A hammer can build a house, or destroy one. The tool itself isn't good or bad. What matters is how it's used. Money works the same way. The goal isn't to worship money. The goal isn't to fear money. The goal is to use money wisely. The first principle is surprisingly simple. Spend less than you earn. It sounds obvious, almost too obvious. Yet this single habit has created more wealth than countless investment strategies. Because no matter how much you earn, if you spend everything, you never build financial strength. Many people wait until they're earning more before they start saving. They tell themselves, when I get a better job, I'll save. When I get a raise, I'll invest. When I make more money, I'll become disciplined. But discipline rarely appears automatically. If you can't manage a small amount wisely, a larger amount often magnifies the same habits. The second principle is equally important. Leave room for uncertainty. Life is unpredictable. No matter how carefully you plan, unexpected events will happen. Cars break down, jobs change, markets fall, emergencies appear. The future refuses to follow our schedules. This is why financial flexibility matters. A savings buffer isn't just money. It's breathing room. It's resilience. It's the ability to survive surprises without panic. Think of a ship crossing the ocean. Even the best captain cannot control the weather. Storms will come. Waves will rise. Conditions will change. The goal isn't to eliminate uncertainty. The goal is to prepare for it. The third principle is one many people struggle with. Stop comparing yourself to others. Comparison is expensive, not only financially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Every time you compare your life to someone else's highlight reel, you risk making decisions that don't align with your own values. You begin chasing goals that aren't yours, buying things you don't need, pursuing lifestyles you don't even want, all because someone else made them look desirable. Real financial success is personal. Your goals don't need to match anyone else's. Your version of enough can look completely different. And that's okay. In fact, that's healthy. The fourth principle is patience. Perhaps the most difficult principle in modern life. We live in a world that rewards speed. Fast internet, fast delivery, fast results. But wealth rarely operates on that timeline. The greatest financial rewards often belong to people who stay patient while others become emotional. People who continue investing during uncertainty. People who continue saving during temptation. People who trust the process even when progress seems invisible. Patience isn't passive. Patience is active discipline. It's choosing long-term rewards over short-term gratification. Again and again, year after year. The fifth principle may be the most important. Define what enough means for you. Because if you don't define it, the world will define it for you. Advertisements will define it. Social media will define it. Other people's expectations will define it. And the result is often endless dissatisfaction. Knowing what enough means creates boundaries. It protects you from greed. It protects you from comparison. It protects you from the endless pursuit of more. Imagine climbing a mountain. If you never decide where the summit is, you'll keep climbing forever, exhausted, unsatisfied, always chasing a peak that keeps moving. But when you define your destination, you can finally appreciate the journey. One of the most powerful lessons in this entire book is that financial success isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about behaving reasonably, not perfectly, reasonably. You don't need to predict every market movement. You don't need to outperform everyone else. You don't need to make perfect decisions. You simply need habits that are sustainable. Habits that allow you to stay in the game. Habits that help you avoid catastrophic mistakes. Because the people who win financially over the long run aren't usually the most brilliant. They're often the most consistent, the most patient, the most disciplined, the most resilient. As Morgan Housel reminds us, the goal isn't to maximize every possible dollar. The goal is to build a life where money serves you, not the other way around. Imagine reaching the end of your life, looking back on decades of decisions. Will you remember the latest gadget you purchased? The trend you followed? The luxury item you chased? Perhaps, but probably not. What you'll likely remember are experiences, relationships, moments of freedom, time spent with people you love, the ability to choose your path, the peace that came from knowing you had enough. Money is valuable because it can help create those things, not because it can replace them. And that's a distinction many people discover too late. The healthiest relationship with money is one where money becomes a useful servant. Not a demanding master, a tool, not an obsession, a source of freedom, not a source of identity. If you can remember that, you'll avoid many of the traps that capture countless people. You'll spend more intentionally, save more confidently, invest more patiently, and live more peacefully. But before we end this journey, there is one final lesson. A lesson that ties everything together. A lesson about happiness, freedom, time, and what truly matters in the end. Part 8. The final reflection. Imagine that it's your last day on Earth. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Today. You sit quietly in a chair and begin looking back on your life. The years. The decisions, the victories, the mistakes, the dreams you chased, the opportunities you missed, the moments that shaped who you became. As you reflect on everything you've experienced, a question appears. What truly mattered? Was it the car you drove? The phone you owned? The size of your house? the brand of your watch. Perhaps those things brought temporary happiness. Perhaps they made life more comfortable. But deep down, you already know the answer. What mattered were the moments. The people you loved, the experiences you shared, the memories you created, the freedom to choose how you spent your time, the peace of mind that allowed you to sleep without fear. And that's the ultimate lesson of the psychology of money. The goal of money was never money itself. The goal was always freedom. Throughout history, people have chased wealth believing it would solve all their problems. If only I had more money. If only I earned a bigger salary. If only I could reach that next level. But when they finally arrived, many discovered something surprising. The finish line kept moving. Because money alone cannot create happiness. Money can solve financial problems. Money can reduce stress. Money can provide opportunities. Money can buy comfort. But money cannot automatically create meaning. It cannot automatically create purpose. And it certainly cannot automatically create fulfillment. The happiest people are rarely the ones with the most. They are often the ones who understand what is enough. The people who stop comparing. The people who stop chasing endless status. The people who learn to appreciate what they already have. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack up a mountain. Every year, you add more weight. A bigger house. A larger car payment. More obligations. More pressure. More things to maintain. At first, it feels like progress. But eventually, the backpack becomes so heavy that you forget why you started climbing in the first place. Many people spend decades building lifestyles that impress others, only to discover they've sacrificed their freedom in the process. They own expensive things, but those things end up owning them. They earn more, but they need more. They achieve success, but they lose peace. The truly wealthy understand something different. They understand that the purpose of wealth is not to display power. It's to create options, to create flexibility, to create freedom. Freedom to spend time with family. Freedom to pursue meaningful work. Freedom to walk away from situations that no longer serve you. Freedom to live according to your own values. Freedom to say, this is enough. And perhaps that is the rarest skill of all. Because modern society constantly tells us we need more. More money, more possessions, more followers, more recognition, more success, more everything. Yet some of the happiest moments in life have nothing to do with having more. A conversation with a loved one. A peaceful morning. A sunset. A laugh shared with friends. A quiet moment of gratitude. These things cannot be purchased in a store. And yet they often bring more joy than anything money can buy. This doesn't mean money isn't important. Money matters. Financial security matters. Planning matters. Saving matters. Investing matters. The lessons in this book matter. But they matter because they support a meaningful life. Not because they replace one. Think back to Ronald Reed, the janitor who quietly became a millionaire. What made his story remarkable wasn't just the amount of money he accumulated. It was the patience, the discipline, the consistency, the ability to avoid unnecessary risks, the ability to remain content while others chased attention. His story reminds us that extraordinary results often come from ordinary behaviors repeated for a very long time. Not brilliance, not luck alone, not flashy decisions, but steady habits. And perhaps that's encouraging. Because it means financial success is not reserved for geniuses. It's not reserved for the lucky few. It's available to people willing to practice patience, humility, discipline, and long-term thinking. As this journey comes to an end, remember the lessons we've learned. Nobody is crazy. People make decisions based on their experiences. Luck and risk influence every outcome. Greed can destroy even the greatest fortunes. Compounding rewards patience. True wealth is hidden. Freedom is more valuable than status. And enough is one of the most powerful words you'll ever learn. Years from now, you may forget specific numbers. You may forget certain stories. You may even forget parts of this video. But I hope you remember one simple idea. Money is a tool. Use it wisely. Don't let it control you. Don't measure your worth by it. Don't sacrifice your life chasing it. Use it to build a life that reflects your values. Use it to create freedom. Use it to create peace. Use it to create time for the things that matter most. Because in the end, the richest person is not the one who has the most money. The richest person is the one who has enough. Enough to sleep peacefully. Enough to make choices. Enough to spend time with loved ones. Enough to live life on their own terms. And that may be the greatest financial lesson of all. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the psychology of money. If this summary gave you a new perspective on wealth, success, and financial freedom, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the Actionable Reader for more life-changing book summaries. Remember, knowledge only changes your life when you apply it. So don't just listen to these lessons. Practice them, live them, and let them guide your decisions every day. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep turning great ideas into meaningful action. See you in the next book summary.